Was it? Okay. Okay, now it's on.
Okay, great.
Oh, shit. So we just spent about what?
15. Well, it wasn't that long. It was like 5 minutes.
We just spent about
pouring our hearts out about like almost
Primo, let's
crying,
be honest,
like...
okay? We're gonna start doing podcasts. We gotta be honest. Okay? It was about 15 minutes pouring our hearts about an issue we were talking about, and this damn thing wasn't even on. Pretty great.
All right. Well, okay. Well,
I can't wait to see the critics. I can't wait to see the comments.
So obviously this is not we don't have a lot of experience. So this is our second podcast. Let's begin with that. Second
Dos.
ever.
Okay. Uno, dos.
So it's los primos. And
QCP.
The movimiento, the movement que chingaos pasa.
Yeah, QCP is not an acronym for a gang, okay? This is just, it's an acronym for it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. But we say it in Spanish.
Yeah, there you go.
Que chingaos pasa.
So, okay. Yeah, so what has happened since then? A lot has happened,
right? A lot has happened.
And just want to say thank you to all 3 people that listen to the podcast.
Orale! We got 3 people? Check it out. Yeah. We're moving. Orale. All right.
Okay. Well, it was more like last numbers I checked were like 30 plus on YouTube, because it took me a while to figure out how to upload the thing.
Right. You know, it's so not like we're naturally born
had to check with friends and
okay.
And then there was I uploaded to SoundCloud, and I was like, I think it's like in the 40 plus. So I mean that's a respectable number.
Yeah, for beginners, for amateurs.
Yeah. So
claro que sí. I mean,
so I don't know, how was the experience for you? What have you been thinking about since then?
Well, the first thing I noticed was that when I heard the podcast, I was like, is that really how I sound? Is that my voice? I was like, how do I manage to even have friends? You know, I was like, damn. But I think what we were talking earlier about is sometimes we want our voices to sound like professional, and you know, we want to sound like we know what we're talking about, and so if we, you know, talk with a kind of an authoritarian voice or tone, and you know, speak big words or something to that effect, that, you know, we know what we're talking about. But actually,
But you're saying like you thought you didn't sound like that. You sounded like a pocho.
Yeah, I sound like a pocho. Oh man, I was like, damn, that's how I sound. I was like, how do I even manage to have girlfriends? You know, I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, but almost. You know, this is our second podcast. I'm excited about it, of all the ideas that we were talking about, how we want to grow into this podcast, what we want to do, what our objectives are.
But just to mention, like, just to also what you're saying about, you know, sounding professional.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, just something that I wanted to, I guess, put an exclamation point on is that it somehow made me more comfortable, like when I am in other situations, like either at work or other places, where I'm more comfortable with what my voice sounds like, right? But even then, like, I still struggle, you know, because I'm like, oh man, I don't sound like, you know, professional either, or I don't sound like a certain way in my head, right?
Or you don't sound white enough.
Exactly.
Or something like
that.
And
I told myself, like, well, what I mean is, like, I don't sound white.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And I'm like, what is that about? You know?
Yeah, what do you mean you don't sound white?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like you have this perspective of, like, that, you know, when white people are talking, they know what they're talking about.
Right.
That it's kind of like you see on TV, you know, they have this... And when you hear yourself in the way you talk, you kind of be like, oh, man... You know, I don't sound like that. And you kind of, not that you put yourself down, but you're like, oh, well, maybe I don't sound as, you know, like I know what I'm talking about. But that's far less than the case. What is really true is that you just got to be comfortable with yourself, with your own self. You be comfortable with who you are and how you sound.
And know that that's something that it's kind of in everybody's mind. Like, this is internalized oppression that we have, right?
Right.
All these messages
exactly.
That we get programming that how we talk is not the way that it's supposed to be professional, or like
yeah.
that's not, if you don't sound white, you're not intelligent, or you're less than, right?
Right, and it's not that we're like saying, oh, we're against white people or anything. It's what you just pointed out, that internal oppression.
Mm-hmm.
It's in your mind. It's consciously in your mind, whether sometimes you believe it or not, because you just you're into this mentality that everything you've been taught is just not like es como te diré, cómo le ponemos en las palabras que uno pueda entender. Chicanos don't sound like that, I guess, in a sense. We're supposed to sound a different way, and we're supposed to, like we're.
There's all this supposed to, like.
Yeah, like and it is mind-boggling, I guess. ¿Cómo le diré? ¿Cómo chingados? Es te norteas, como uno se dice, te norteas. And but hey, you know what? We're here. We're podcasting. We want to talk about the things that we are passionate about, emotional about.
And try to keep it briefer, because that's one of the feedbacks. Like, oh man, it seemed entertaining, but it was really long.
No.
But like, I know that I don't know how people are, if people are even used to, the people that we're talking to, if they're used to listening to podcasts. So maybe that might be a new thing too, right?
But I'm not even used to even talking on a podcast.
Right. Yeah. Either of us. Yeah. Too.
Yeah. So we don't even know if we're.
It's.
How long is it supposed to be? But shit, que chingaos.
Right. Que Chingaos Pasa.
Okay.
So
all right.
So anyways, we're here. Thank you for hanging out with us, and
it's too long. All right,
it's too
sorry.
long.
Oops.
That's
All right.
well, at least there was some feedback, because everybody else was like, "Oh, okay, that seems cool." Like,
yeah, we
least.
any kind of feedback is good feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we learn.
Yeah.
That's how we grow. But okay.
So we wanted to talk about today.
Well, Primo, we had talked about what we were going to talk about is about, now I'm starting to sound like Trump. I'm trying to repeat myself like 10 times already.
Demented Trump.
We want to talk about, well, first we're going to talk about immigration, because that is a very hot and delicate topic, especially with what's happening right now. But at first, what we wanted to do is we want to send out our shout-outs and our support to the dreamers, to the people who are out there fighting to keep their dreams alive. It's just a little bit unfortunate to think that there's people out there that believe that people shouldn't have the ability to pursue happiness. These people that are in dreamers, they work, they go to school, and they're striving to do something better with their lives. So when I hear that people are saying, well, they don't deserve to be here, or they shouldn't get a freebie, first of all, they don't get nothing for free. Mm-hmm. Nothing here is for free. I don't know why people say, nothing here in this country is for free. If you want something, you gotta go out there and get it. And these people, that's what they do. They struggle. They will get up in the morning, go to work, pay their things. Some of them have bills, cars, house payments, whatever. Go to school and do what is necessary to get ahead.
Not to mention that they contribute to the economy. Many of them pay taxes through, taxes that they never get reimbursed for, right. Because they're using tax ID, or they're contributing to Social Security. Maybe they don't ever get back anything that they put in, and not only that, but just as human beings, your worth shouldn't be measured on just what you mean as a number, but also first and foremost as a human person, as an individual, as a person that has family and just as a human being.
What do they call it? An unalienable or alienable right?
Alienable rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everyone should have the
unalienable rights.
Unalienable right to pursue happiness, to want to do something better with your life.
Constitution, yeah.
You know, and here's the thing that kind of, I think I find myself a little bit bothered with the fact that, you know, they throw this thing that illegals are criminals, that they come here to do bad, to do things, you know, against the law and to do drugs. But yet these dreamers here are doing the complete opposite, and yet that's still not enough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, even with that, you're still not good enough to be in this country.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because like that reminds me of this idea that you have to be, in order to be accepted into this society, you have to be like exceptional, right? Like you have to have like a 4.0 GPA, you have to be like, you know, go to, you know, become a doctor or go to the military, like, and what, yeah, like you're saying, it's almost like an illusion, because yeah, in some places it might get you in the door, but there are many spaces where even if you accomplish that, doesn't mean that they're gonna stop seeing you as just like, I mean, let's face it, as just like a beaner or a wetback, you know, or like somebody that is not supposed to be here because of the color of your skin, right? And so your worth shouldn't be tied to just what you accomplish as a number, but it should also be a factor about like who you are as a human being, as like what your character is like, you know, like what, you know, whether, like you're saying, people that you may not get to go to college, but if you're a person that is thinking of a better life for yourself and your family, and you know, you are, look at the farm workers, right? Look at people that are like janitors, and
dude, they do the hardest work, and the work that even me, I would be like, okay, you know, because those are the kind of that I thankfully, yes, if that was the only job I had available, I would take it, but I don't need to, like, it's like, ¿cómo te diré? Es algo que we take for granted, you know, because they work under the hardest conditions. They get exposed to chemicals. They work odd hours. They work under weather, you know,
extreme weather. We saw the fires recently. They were out there.
Yeah, they were still working while the fires. Did you see that out in Oxnard? And you know, they're breathing in all that.
And the employers didn't give in any protections or anything.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's just. They're viewed. In other words, our people are not viewed as human beings. They're basically almost like, you know, the word that comes to my mind, how I interpret it, is like animals, you know, like Trump, right? Like, this is why it's so emotional for many of us. Like, you know, when he went to Puerto Rico, right? And the fucker was like throwing paper towels. Oh yeah, he was throwing them out there like it was some kind of
like, what the hell was that about? Like,
like he was.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
And then today, what was it? Yesterday, what was it? Like, he said he called Salvador and Haiti the shithole countries.
What he said is, why are all these people coming from shithole countries?
Yeah, like, and it says like we should be getting we should be welcoming people from, as a paraphrasing here, from Norway. So like, to me,
what he said that?
Yeah, he said that. That's so essentially saying like, oh, we need to have more white people immigrate here, and those countries were like brown people and black. That's a subtext right there. Basically.
Well, you're right. It's a subtext, but I didn't know he said that.
Yeah, he said that we should. That he had just met with Prime Minister or whatever from countries like Norway, so essentially white countries, you know. And it's almost like where my mind goes is like, what the, I almost can't believe it, because I'm thinking like, is this guy like only repeating what like all the racists around him are saying, or is he believing it too, or both, or I don't even know what the hell is going on, but like just the fact honestly is inexcusable.
You don't really know what to. It's almost to where the point where it's I would say it's not even shocking anymore, because he said so much shit that you're kind of like, que se te quitó, kind of like, oh, pues otra vez, ¿qué más va a decir? It's not surprising, because he's always saying stupid shit like that, you know. But I didn't know he said that about. I know he said that about the shithole, that you know, people, why these people coming from shithole countries, but I didn't know he said that.
Yeah.
That makes it even more like
that's the stuff that like
that's like straight out like, okay,
skinhead white supremacists.
It's like, ¿cómo chingados no puede ser racism? Right. O sea, está en tu cara, te lo está diciendo en tu cara, and there's no way to defend that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I can get people when they say, well, maybe he didn't mean it that way. Well, what the fuck did he mean then?
Right.
You know what? I don't
exactly.
What there's another way of it meaning something. You know, like I certainly am not gonna get it that way.
Yeah. And I want to say this too. Like I get it that like okay, yes, we've all known that the United States was founded on, you know, it wasn't just the Declaration of Independence, right? That all men are created equal, right? And that there is this whole also parallel history that doesn't get explained in the textbooks about like slavery and like how this country was, you know, founded on racism, and like what do you expect, right? Like this is the pinnacle expression of that. Like what we're seeing is not something new, but in the whatever, even with that, I don't think that to be complacent and to be like, well, what do you expect, right? Like I can't feel but have this emotional reaction to it, and to say that yes, I do understand that one, that's not okay, and that this is totally fucked up, but also that and yes, that this is part of the history of this country, but then what do you propose that we do then? You know, like yes, there needs to be like a systemic change, but how do you even start to move on that? You know, like how do you make it so that people are able to take some kind of action and change the system? Because like for me, like to say like, oh, let's change the system, that's like that feels really overwhelming. Like how do I even do that as a person, you know?
You know, and this is not about, here's sometimes when people are like, oh, well, you know, millennials or liberals or Democrats or whatever think this way. This is not about thinking in that view. This is about human life. I mean, basically, we were taught in school, treat one as you would like to be treated. I mean, it's the simple golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated. And it's really, it goes with everything. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about even when you're like, if you're a person that wants to cause hurt to someone, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to hurt that person because you don't want to get hurt either. So it's a golden rule, but it applies to everything with everyone. It's just simple fact of treating other people with human dignity. That goes with everything. I don't care if they say, well, you know, people that are come here are criminals and they just want to take advantage of the system. Okay, it takes into that too, that hey, you need to treat people as you want to be treated. But it goes with everything as well. As us as people, we need to treat people that are coming here for the pursuit of happiness, treat them like we want to be treated also. you can't, this thing about like fucking building a wall and que la chingada, que, that's gonna stop all the drugs. First of all, let me tell you, the cartel, these narco guys, these cartel people, they're not stupid. Mm-hmm. They're not just because there's a wall. Oh shit! I'm gonna stop going to drug. That's like idiotic thinking. If you think a wall is gonna stop that, mm-hmm. That shit is beyond a wall. That if you want to stop drugs, first of all, you need to stop the supply. Mm-hmm. I mean the demand. I'm sorry, the demand before you try to stop the supply. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, isn't that how you stop something from like in a sense, but. Anyway, that's another topic. The fact that they think a wall's gonna stop people from pursuing happiness, that's just, to me, that's naive in a sense. Well, now, and walls were built in other countries, weren't they built so that they can stop from another country invading another country? Or am I wrong here?
Well, it was like in the case of Germany, right? Like a country was divided, yeah. And walls have served more of a purpose of militarization and fear and dividing people instead of actually solving problems.
Right. That's what I was figuring is that walls were meant to divide, not to solve problems. Mm-hmm. I don't know what a wall is gonna do, but anyways, even like, if like there was this post that said, "Hey, Mexico, we're gonna build a wall. Get over it." Mm. Trust me, we will get over it. We'll jump right over it.
yeah, pretty much. It's like in Spanish, there's this saying, "Querer tapar el sol con un dedo," like you want to cover the sun with one finger, which is like basically you only have the illusion that you're covering the sun, but it's ridiculous to think that you're gonna cover the whole sun. Only from your vantage point of view, you're covering the sun with your finger, but the sun's still out and it's still shining on the whole entire earth. You haven't addressed and this gets at, for example, the root causes of problems, or not problems, but dynamics that we see in immigration, right? Like you have, for example, the Trump also rescinded the temporary protection status to salvadoreños and other Central Americans, right? And
Simon, that had me a little bit worried because my mom is from El Salvador, and when I saw that it said he's gonna stop people from El Salvador, I was like, oh shit. I was like, does he mean I was trying to figure out what the time frame or whatever, but then I realized that my mom's been here since the 80s, since Reagan time. So I'm gonna look into it, but I'm sure she's okay, or else she would be calling me anyways by now. She'd be freaking out, pobre señora. Pero yeah, I mean. That's when I saw that I was like, okay, because El Salvador just suffered also an earthquake, right?
Yeah, there's a natural disaster
and then the Civil War,
and there's gangs, violence. But the thing that we never gets talked about is thing that we've been seeing on some spaces on the internet about how the U.S. funded El Salvador's Civil War. Mm-hmm. Right, and so the role that the U.S. has played in destabilizing many Latin American countries, displaced people, being a big factor in people being forced to move.
And that's not in the textbooks when you go to school and you read. That shit that you're not gonna read about that in school because
or even in college. Maybe if you took a class in Chicano studies, maybe.
Right.
But you kind of have to look for it.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and for those of you people who probably think, well, estos cabrones no saben de qué están hablando. Frankly, I don't really give a fuck what people think, But what I'm trying to say is that you kind of have to step out of the box and think about not just okay, well, we're trying to preserve the nation's security, but you kind of have to step out and think about what is it exactly, how the humanity, people, these are people. We talk about criminals not having a heart. Well, this is not having a heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no tienes corazón,
Mm-hmm.
or compassion.
Right.
I didn't want, criminals don't have that. Well, you're not having one either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, you need to, like, not take it that way, and you need to understand that this country needs its national, security. Well, first of all, what country's gonna fucking attack the United States? Well, I mean, I guess, maybe I'm off the topic here, but what? I'm just a little lost. I'm speechless. Fill in the blanks there, because
Well, it's like I was saying, when we started and we didn't record.
oh yeah.
That is like.
By the way, we had started our podcast and we didn't press the record button, so I think we were recording for we were non-recording for what, 10 minutes?
Yeah. We're saying that it's just a very emotional, and like ever since I remember this topic is emotional for.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, it was the one topic that if you have this physical reaction, right? And so going back to, everything that Trump's done and things that all previous presidents have done, right? Like that have affected our communities, both Democrat and Republican, right? And
no one.
to whatever degree.
Yeah.
But especially during this time, and I don't know, to be honest, I'm also lost for words, but the way that I been able to manage my reactions to Trump, what he does is to look at the individual, like you were saying, like the golden rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I remember, just to kind of backtrack a little bit and share my experience when Trump, when election night, right, last year, no, a year and a half ago or whatever, 2006. And I remember that night, as soon as the election results were taking a while to come in, and I was seeing that, it was taking a while. I didn't even wait. I was like, fuck it, we're fucked. Trump won, and I just turned the TV. I didn't even wait, and I just went to a liquor store and got a bottle of something, and I just drank and passed out. And then the next day I woke up with this feeling of dread of oh my God, he's got the button. He's gonna have the button on the nuclear button on the arsenal. So my mind went to the worst possible scenario, cataclysms, right?
Actually, I don't think he has a button. I think what I understand, he has codes.
Okay.
So we might be safe porque como está un poco pendejito.
Oh yeah.
He might forget the codes.
Oh my God, I didn't even thought about that.
So
okay.
we might be all right.
Wow. Okay.
Because he has to have a series
of
codes,
yeah.
from what I understand.
Yeah. Hopefully
he
doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember that.
Oh God. Yeah.
Now,
maybe he's not. Yeah, that's not as
simple. Now, if we get attacked and he doesn't remember the codes,
oh, that's right.
then we're really fucked.
Oh fuck.
So we're fucked either way.
Yeah.
Shit. Fuck. Can't we get someone in there that knows what they're doing?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh damn! I just had a.
So
no, you're right.
That's exploring all the possible scenarios in your head. And but I've been doing a lot of self introspection and and I think I mentioned it to you at some point about I read this article by this Buddhist, I forget always the name, how to pronounce it, one of the Buddhist monks, very famous, not the Dalai Lama, is somebody else, and he was talking about how that it's easy to look at Trump as the figure to demonize, and for a reason, this is a horrible person, right? But he is the manifestation of the system, right? And so that it's easier to see that externally than to look at each one of us ourselves, about how we all have a little Trump in us. And I remember back then, a year ago, I always talked about the example of misogyny, and treatment of women, and I was saying if I'm gonna point the finger at Trump, then I better put the finger on myself about how I treat women, or even like microaggressions of women, or my attitudes towards women, right? No matter how like enlightened you might think that you are, or how like you're a Democrat or progressive or whatever, if you are not willing to look at the things that you do with humility and how you treat, in this example, women, then how are you going to be able to say, well, Trump is the bad guy, right? Without like looking at your own actions, right?
Oh, wow.
That's deep, right? Like, and that's
pretty deep.
And that's how I like started. So his argument is like, in order to really uproot, you could remove Trump, but there's still gonna be that culture, right?
Right.
So in order to really have transformational change and uproot it, each one of us have to extricate, pull out the Trump, and like really work at transforming ourselves, right? And it kind of speaks to your golden rule comment about like how you treat others. Like, it doesn't just apply to what others are doing, but also how you show up in everyday life, right? And so I've been taking a lot of that heart to that, and that's how I actually feel like I have more control, because I can control my actions.
Right.
But then like immigration stuff will happen, and that's the one area where like it throws that on its head for me emotionally.
Now, when you said we have Trump in us, I don't know, because I don't see any money coming in my checks. Like, I don't see like millions of dollars,
right?
So
or
maybe
golden toilets, or
whatever. Or golden, or like a big old plane and shit. Well, anyways,
golden showers.
But no, you're right. It's the I know.
I am a stable genius.
I am like really smart. Anyways. Okay. So, immigrate. You know what? People will be like, oh, you guys are taking it too out of context. Or it has an effect on us, because my mom, she came from El Salvador years ago, and even though it was still a harsh time to come, it's still the when I think about it, the things that she must have gone through. Now, it's 10 times, 20 times harder to do, but people still come because it's not a choice anymore. It's I need to come. Why? Because if I don't, I won't live. Survival.
Yeah.
Remember
the children at the border? Like,
yes.
It was heartbreaking. Like, the parents had to make this choice. Well, if I have my kids here, they're gonna die. If I send them, they might die, but it's a might. So I'd rather take my chances and send my kid to the United States, because he might have a chance to live.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. That was pretty heartbreaking. But the people that are crossing now, or that have crossed years, the stories that they have, and I don't want to put someone's name out there, but I know family members that have told me their stories of how they crossed, and it's fucking heartbreaking, dude. And I'm just amazed at how they survived and how they managed to get from point A to B.
Yeah.
And with that much.
You think like, wow, it's a miracle of God or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and to them it's a miracle because because they, como dice, le doy gracias a la Virgen, le doy gracias a Dios, or whatever.
Or you hear the stories of like people being sexually assaulted, all kinds of things, and like you don't even. And what if you think about that, right? Like,
I don't want to get to that point to think, because I have a couple of family members that, hopefully we can get on the podcast and tell their stories, but their stories are heartbreaking, and yet they're here alive, making something out of their lives.
Yeah. And
it's just inspirational to hear about their journey here, and one of them is I especially big admiration for one of them, which is my cuñada. Dude, her story, when she told me about how she crossed, and she came from Peru, okay, So, como el dicho tres veces mojado, right?
Mm.
Her journey from point A to here is just incredible.
Mm.
You know, and the way she tells it, dude, she tells it like a movie. I love the way she talks. She is such a beautiful person, but
Yeah.
hopefully one day we can get her out here to talk about her experience.
Yeah.
It just, you know, how she was almost killed, how she had to run from not just from La Migra, but from people that wanted to do harm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an incredible story.
Yeah.
But anyways, the other thing that we were gonna talk about in our podcast, or have we stopped about this subject? Or what were we talking about?
Well, there's lots to talk about, but I mean, this is kind of, I guess, a good segue, and I was gonna say something about too, like treatment of women, right? Like,
yeah. Because, okay, pues cuando las mujeres cruzan de aquí para allá, bueno, de allá para acá, yeah, it's, man.
And the stuff that you maybe, like, even their families don't even know, right? They don't ever know.
They don't ever know because they keep it inside them. They don't talk about the stories that they've. I mean, it's just it's incredible. But yeah, the subject about women. You're right. We can go off on that, but like we said, we wanted to say, especially talk. Send out our support and let the dreamers know that we're still with them. And not only the dreamers, all the people that are fighting to stay here. That are doing what they can to stay here, that are going to work with the fear of waking up in the morning not knowing if you're going to come back home. You're already taking a risk, getting up, going to work, getting run over by a car, getting shot, you know, or getting mugged, or que la chingada, or que, you know, whatever the fuck.
Right.
And now on top of that, you have to worry about the fear of getting deported, or the fear of getting separated from your family.
Yeah.
You know, and you still have to go to work.
Yeah.
You still have to earn that dough.
Yeah, and you can't be like, oh, like I'm crumbling, like I can't handle
or I'm gonna
this.
stay home so I don't get.
Or you can't be like, oh, I need like a day off because like
I can't handle it. It's too much.
Like, no, you suck it up and like you just
suck it up and you go.
Like,
yeah. And damn, dude, we sound like babies.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because like after just kind of referencing back to when Trump happened, right?
Yeah.
I started thinking about I've met immigrant women janitors, where in one of my jobs that I used to have at this union, right? And a lot of them were mujeres inmigrantes from Central America. Many of them had gone through guerrillas and civil war torn areas, and some of them had stories of being sexually assaulted, and yet they were one of the most powerful inspiration, like their energy around them, where it's not that I'm saying that I don't even know how to put it into words, but the thought that came to my head was like, you know what, if they can be such strong women, why am I falling apart? You know, like,
why am I being a little bitch?
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
If they can't, like, and I'm sure to them it's even more at stake. You know.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
They're more at risk, and they are scared too. It doesn't mean that they're somehow not allowed to be human either, but they don't have a choice. You know, and so
they don't have a choice
to
be afraid.
And so they have to make a choice, a really hard choice, and God knows what other choices, horrible choices they have to make, right? And those are things that you never hear about
you see it, but you just take it for granted because you're just going about your work day and you see them cleaning the bathroom, or like, you know, when I go to a job and I see them working, they're cleaning the bathrooms, they're out there doing their work, And here you are just like thinking nothing of it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll wait till she's done so I can use the restroom. But in her mind, she's probably thinking, okay, is today the last day I'm going to be here to be able to come to work? Is this the last day I'm going to see my kids?
Or on top of that, if like they're being harassed by their supervisor,
right?
Or like, and they're afraid to speak up because they might get deported, or they can't go to the police, or all these other things that we don't have to deal with, because we we don't encounter those situations. Maybe some men do, but by oftentimes women can speak. Largely speaking, women, there's this dynamic of women not being able to speak up because they're afraid. The whole system is set up so that if they speak up, nobody will believe them.
Especially if they're getting sexually harassed.
Yeah. If somebody has power over them, and not only that, but there's this whole dynamic of women of color, and especially immigrant women, that there's this dynamic of with when maybe something will get done about it. If a white woman speaks, it's more likely that something will get done about it, as opposed to a person of color, a black woman, or an immigrant woman, or an Asian woman, person of color. There are several dynamics there.
Yeah, you're right, es cierto. Van a escuchar más a la palabra de esa persona que a un inmigrante o a una persona de color. Y people might be like, oh, wait, that's being racist. No, that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen.
Those are the real inconvenient truths.
Yeah, inconvenient truths. We either choose not to listen to them, or choose to ignore them, or just pretend that they don't happen, but they do happen. When I see like someone, when I see them working, a mí me da a level of orgullo to see them work, and what the little connection I have with them. And this is why it's so important to be able to speak Spanish, is that you can connect to them and you feel that you're at a level with them, or they feel that they're on a level with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, let's say my work includes something technical and not too janitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people might assume that, oh, se cree muy chingón que porque hace este trabajo. But if you stoop to their level, as when you talk to them like they're human beings in their language, you connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
So a mí me gusta hablar con ellos y les hablo en español, and people, when people are like, this is America, speak English. Man, fuck that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna speak whatever I want to speak, because I have that right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm trying to make blueprints for where I'm gonna put a bomb or something, like no, we're talking about on a level where we understand each other, we come with each other. And I always like to talk to them in español, y les digo, oh, ¿cómo está? ¿Qué onda? Or they'll be like, one of the things that they always say, and we always say, is, oh, ¿cómo le va? Muy bien. And they're always like, pues aquí echándole ganas. Echándole ganas.
Uh-huh.
If you think about that, it's true. They always do that. No matter what they're doing. Whether they're cleaning a damn bathroom, cleaning windows, mopping the floor, taking care of kids, whatever, they're always echándole ganas. And what's the thing after that? No hay de otra. Why? It's true. No hay de otra. We need to go echándole ganas. There's no choice. We need to. That's how we're brought up. That's how we're made. That's how we're manufactured. Is to echándole ganas. Que no hay de otra.
Because it's our parents, basically. That's it's our aunts, our
and I feel at a connection with them. And not to say that I'm superior or unsuperior. It's just I feel at a connection when I can talk to them, and I can say cómo están, qué andan haciendo, cómo le va,
right?
Que como que dice el trabajo, or whatever. little conversations, you know, and you also gotta give them the respect that they deserve. So if you know, like if you seen them cleaning something, and you just walk in there like they're nobody, or you ignore them,
invisible.
They're not invisible, dude. You know, you gotta treat these people with respect because they're treating you with respect. You know, yeah. Sometimes you're like stepping on the floor, they just mopped, and you're like playing what do you call it?
Or something.
Yeah, because you don't want to step on their floor that they just mopped, you know. But they're always like, no se preocupe, you know, pásele, al cabo todavía le voy a hacer otra vez, you know. Most of the time they're always humble about their work, and, you know, it's just, you know, they're the hardest workers out there, man. I just give them props because whatever they're doing, they're always putting echándole ganas, you know. All right, so I guess we're gonna end our podcast for right now until our next one. We might go back into this subject because it's such a, you know, a hot topic. Not only a hot topic, it's such an emotional one.
Yeah, and then and then also because, like, you know, it shouldn't have to take. If there's something that we have seen is that it shouldn't have to take women to tell us men, hey, like, you guys need to speak up. Like they need allyship. They need us to step up and speak about these things. Because we can't. The more that we don't talk about it,
the more it dies out. The
like,
faster it quiets out. It dimmers. It just like a candlelight se muere because we don't keep the fire alive. And it's true. Us men gotta step it up, man. We gotta treat our mujeres con dignidad y con respeto y darles su merecido, que es, you know, tratarlas como se merecen.
Right.
You know, some of them work 2 jobs.
Yeah.
3 jobs. I mean, I've even heard them work 3 jobs. Single moms, you know, out there so that they can feed. Provide and feed and buy the things that we couldn't have. You know, like, you know, some of these moms, they go out on a limbo just to make sure that their kids have the right shoes. Because if they don't have the right shoes, what's going to happen at school?
Right.
They're going to be teased and be like, you know. But I think a lot has to do with the way you're brought up. But también, you know, it's not easy. These women out there working, echándole ganas. We support you. Les damos el apoyo que se merecen. Y sigan adelante. Que la causa esté con ustedes. Las queremos, las amamos y las respetamos. Sigan adelante, échenle ganas. Como dice el dicho, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Bueno, primo, te voy a dejar que tú cierres el podcast. Cierra el podcast. El podcasto.
Yeah, and well, just to say that, you know, yeah, it's such a big, you know, topic, you know, of what it means to be a woman in our society, and, you know,
in our culture.
And I guess the one thing too, and not just moms, right? Like also just women everywhere. You don't have to be a mom. It's like just women, and this whole notion that they have to fit into certain things, or how we men think that it's supposed to be. And there's so many things that as men, I think we need to unpack and unlearn, you know, from all the traumas and all this internalized, you know, programming that we get to. And it doesn't matter whether man is straight or gay or whatever it is, it's still the same shit. You know, you still have that same internalized patriarchy, right? And so there needs to be like a new way of how we talk about it, and so that a new way of being a man in this society is a way that's more shows up in a way that's going to be healthy and supportive, and really being whatever that means, like being a real man to show
Yeah,
up
because
for others.
it's already hard enough that they have to deal with the racism and the bigotry of what's going on in this country. But now that they have to deal with the way we treat them, it's how do we expect them to?
Yeah, in our culture, right? In our culture, is so much machismo about like, nacido es el plato, and like you have to like, you can't do the women are supposed to do the housework and all these different, it's crazy, right?
We need to grow out of it. And I needed to do a lot of growing up. I remember I needed to do, my mentality of that had to change really quickly.
Yeah. And
you have to, things aren't
same here, yeah. You brought up, because that's how you're taught by your parents, right? You model after your parents.
La vieja te mames, que la cocina y que la chingada.
Yeah.
No, but it's not always like that. Shit, I had to learn how to cook, man.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I thought boiling water was easy. It was easy, but until you start cooking some real food,
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you should,
step it up. So
step it up.
Anyways, well, thank you for listening, and it's much to talk about.
Yeah.
Give us your feedback. Continues to tell us how we do, how we can improve. If you want to leave hate mail too,
hate mail,
comment below. We're gonna upload this on YouTube.
Hate mail. You know what? I've never, dude. All right, I can't wait to see that. There's gonna be all sorts of shit on there, huh? Pinches liberals, pinches Democrats, pinches cabrones,
whatever.
Pinches bitches. Like shit. I don't really care, dude. I don't know. But if they want to leave comments, if any single women want to leave their number.
Yeah.
I was just messing.
We run our own Tinder, service here. So.
All right.
Check you. Talk to you soon.
Oh, where? You gotta press that.
Yeah.
Oh,
see you like this so much. We know.
Oh, my bad. All right. What do you say? Peace out. Oh.
Peace out.
Peace
Yeah.
out? Oh.
What did Tupac used to say?
Échale ganas.
Échale ganas. Yeah.
There you go.
Chingaos Pasa.
Pues.
Bye.